Can you categorically confirm or deny to our viewers who are watching here in India that if a situation were to escalate between India and Pakistan, that China will not come to Pakistan's aid, providing it military and logistical supplies?
最近啊，这个国际舆论场上啊，发生一件挺有意思的事儿啊。其实说白了，就是这个印度学者跟咱们这个中国教授啊杠上了。那为啥杠呢？是因为巴基斯坦。这个印度人他有点不服气，他觉得咱们这个中国老是帮着这个巴铁说话，这事儿啊在网上吵得挺凶的。今天啊，咱们就来看看啊，咱们的这个教授是怎么霸气回怼的，让这个印度学者啊哑口无言。事情是这么开始的，在一个这个国际访谈节目里，有一个印度学者啊，他直接就问咱们这个中国的高教授说，我听说你们中国外长啊，老是说这个巴基斯坦是铁哥们儿、全天候战略伙伴，但是一说到印巴之间的恐怖袭击，你们又要说公正调查。
How can the Chinese foreign minister continue to call Pakistan an ironclad brother and an all-weather strategic partner, and also use the same language which the Pakistani side is using, calling for an impartial probe, when in the past, impartial probes have really not got anywhere for India in terms of, calling out these terror groups and getting the Pakistani state to act against these terror groups?
你看啊，这话说的这个火药味就挺浓的了吧？其实说白了，就是这个印度学者啊，觉得咱们中国对这个巴基斯坦太好了，让他们觉得咱们不够重视他们印度。面对这个印度学者的灵魂拷问啊，咱们的高教授啊，那也不是吃素的。
Thank you very much for having me. First of all, the deterioration of the situation between India and Pakistan, as we speak, is a reason for great concern. These are two big countries, both armed with nuclear weapons, and over the decades they have fought many times. So this is the right time to call on both India and Pakistan to exercise the maximum restraint and seek a peaceful solution, because otherwise the consequence will be too much for either India or Pakistan to bear. Now, secondly, when you talk about terrorist attacks, you may know inside Pakistan, there have been terrorist attacks against the Chinese nationals. And we actually lost quite a few Chinese nationals inside Pakistan. But we always called for a thorough investigation into what exactly is happening behind the scene, who was pulling the trigger, who was committing all these atrocities. And I think China is using the same philosophy to apply to this particular round of attack, because the attack may be initiated by anyone rather than by the government of Pakistan. This is time for both India and Pakistan and all the other stakeholders to work very closely to get to the bottom of the situation, rather than allowing this attack.
你看啊，他先是打了个太极，说这个印巴局势啊现在很紧张啊，你们俩都是有核武器的大国，你动不动就吵架甚至动手，这可不行啊。现在最重要的是冷静，别上头啊，好好谈谈，这和平解决问题啊才是王道，你不然真打起来后果不堪设想啊。然后这个高教授话锋一转说，其实啊这个巴基斯坦那边啊也发生过针对我们中国人的恐怖袭击，我们一直要求他们彻底调查啊，把这个幕后黑手给揪出来。所以啊这次的袭击事件啊，我们也是一样的态度啊，要查清楚真相。而且搞不好这次袭击的幕后主使啊根本就不是巴基斯坦政府呢。所以啊大家要合作，一起查明真相啊，别让这个恐怖袭击啊变成你们吵架的导火索。你看看啊，这个高教授这话说的那是滴水不漏啊，先是劝和呀，然后又表明立场啊，说咱们这个中国也是受害者，要查明真相。但是啊，这个印度学者显然不满意这个高教授的回答，他继续追问说
When there were the Chinese CPEC projects that were attacked in Balochistan, and I saw the foreign ministry's statement, it did not mince any words. It certainly did not call Pakistan an ironclad brother in the aftermath of the attacks that killed Chinese nationals in Balochistan.
这印度学者啊真是步步紧逼啊，抓住咱们声明里的措辞，质疑啊咱们跟这个巴基斯坦的关系。这下咱们的高教授可不惯着他，直接霸气回应。
The point is very simple. We need to call for impartial and complete and thorough investigation into the background of this attack before any country should seize this opportunity to use this attack as the trigger for escalation of tensions or even conflict between India and Pakistan. Now, the third point I want to add, please, with your permission, is that China and Pakistan are all-weather ironclad allies. No one should second-guess this alliance between China and Pakistan. China will always come to Pakistan's help and assistance whenever Pakistan's sovereignty and territorial integrity will be threatened by any country. So this is a very serious matter. You're talking about a war between Pakistan and India on the one hand, and then you are talking about an ironclad alliance between China and Pakistan, and China's full commitment to defend Pakistan's sovereignty and territorial integrity.
I'm glad, Professor Gao, you've been upfront here on our show. Professor Chalani, at least you can't fault him for hiding the Chinese game. He's upfront and he's saying that it'll come to Pakistan's defense, which is its ironclad brother.
你看这话说的掷地有声啊，直接把印度学者怼了回去，告诉他这个中巴友谊啊坚不可摧，哎，谁也别想挑拨离间。但是这个印度学者还是不死心，又开始挖坑了。他说，你们中国给这个巴基斯坦提供了这么多武器装备啊，什么战斗机啦、潜艇啦、导弹啦，巴基斯坦的军队啊，60%的武器都来自你们中国。那现在这个印巴局势这么紧张，你们会不会给巴基斯坦提供军事和后勤支持啊？哎，你给我个准话。
I was going through the amount of weapons that the Chinese have supplied to Pakistan. It's full of 2 pages full, from JF-17 fighter jets to Yuan-class submarines. To the P-10 and P-15 missiles. I mean, 60% of Pakistan Army's weaponry today comes from China. And Professor Gao, I have issues with what you said, but I certainly will not fault you for being forthright. So, Professor Chalani.
Well, this attempt to draw a false equivalence argument, trying to place the victim and the attacker on par, and then distorting why Chinese nationals have been killed in Pakistan. They have been killed in Pakistan because they have pursued projects in areas of separatist unrest. These separatist groups have warned China against exploiting the mineral resources and other natural resources in those lands, especially Balochistan, and yet China, with the assistance of the Pakistan military, has engaged in reckless exploitation of the mineral wealth of Balochistan. That's the reason why Chinese nationals have come under attack in Pakistan. In this case, here is one nation whose military has had long-standing ties with terror groups, cozy relationships with these terror groups, which has been responsible for serial attacks on civilians in India, that has been labeled by the West as a mecca of terrorism. China today has the audacity to defend Pakistan and to say openly that it will come to Pakistan's assistance if its territorial sovereignty and integrity are threatened. The fact is that this nexus between China and Pakistan is a clear warning to India that India faces 2 regional adversaries, both of which are nuclear armed, both of which are revisionist powers. Yeah. They are revisionist because they seek to change their borders with India. Both are not content with the status quo. Both are openly hostile to India, and therefore India should be under no delusion.
No, India should claw back on this whole road to normalization. I mean, we have just announced that we're resuming the Mansarovar Yatra. We've just announced that we're resuming direct flights between Delhi and Beijing. India should claw back. I mean, today, Professor Gao, there are credible media reports, there is satellite imagery to show that Chinese logistical movements, including fuel and engineering supplies, near Pakistan's northern regions. Can you categorically confirm or deny to our viewers who are watching here in India that if a situation were to escalate between India and Pakistan, that China will not come to Pakistan's aid, providing it military and logistical supplies?
你看这话说的简直就是赤裸裸的挑衅啊！想逼着咱们表态，逼着咱们站队。哎，面对这个印度学者的挑衅，高教授再次展现了咱们中国人的智慧和魄力。
Thank you very much. Allow me to make several very brief points. First of all, I have great respect for India as a country and as a nation. On the other hand, allow me to emphasize the size of the Chinese economy today is about 5 times as big as India's economy. This is the reality. But the point is, if India wants to shut itself out of China, it's in the detriment of the Indian people. So don't talk to me about closing China away from India, because you will do that with great harm to the fundamental interest of the Indian people. That's number one. Number two is don't ever underestimate China's commitment to Pakistan to defend Pakistan's legitimate interest of its sovereignty and territorial integrity.
这话的意思很明显了啊，我们尊重你印度啊，但是你们别想挑战我们的底线啊。我们跟这个巴基斯坦的关系啊，那是经过时间的考验的，谁也别想动摇。高教授说的是不是特提气？面对这个印度学者质疑的时候啊，那高教授表现的自信和坚定，哎，那可不是装出来的啊。那咱们现在来说说这个高教授啊，他叫高志凯啊，可不是个一般人啊。那是在中国和国际上都混得开的大学者、大评论员。他厉害在哪儿呢？可不光是嘴皮子溜，这逻辑也清楚啊。更重要的是啊，人家肚子里有货呀，学术背景那是杠杠的，国际经验那叫一个丰富啊。最关键的是啊，这人说话是真敢说，哎，尤其是在这个国际场合，能替咱们中国说话，还说的有理有据的。
来，美国想建立反华、仇华、敌华的统一战线，他想把所有的国家都拉到美国这边来，跟我们中国决一死战。我们必须啊，有定力，有准备，做好充分的准备。和平，我们去拥抱，我们去倡导；自由贸易，我们一定要捍卫。如果美国还要把危机啊、战争啊强加于我的话，我已经做好了充分的准备。
话说最近印度啊老是质疑咱们中国嘛，还时不时给咱们施压。哎，其实啊这主要原因啊就是因为咱们中国和这个巴基斯坦的关系啊太铁了。印度啊他老是觉得咱们是不是偏心眼了？但是啊我们搞外交那是为了和平，为了大家好。所以面对这个印度的质疑和施压，咱们这个腰杆子挺得直直的，该咋样还咋样。这总而言之，咱们中国的外交政策啊，那都是为了和平，为了发展，为了大家好。咱们和这个巴基斯坦是铁哥们儿，就像高志凯教授说的啊，如果你印度啊想将自己和中国隔离开来啊，那损害的是印度人民的根本利益。好了，今天就给大家唠到这儿，希望大家听完之后对中印巴的关系啊能有一个更清晰的认知。记得订阅、点赞、关注哦！我是小懒，我们下期再见，感谢。